It's been very devastating and traumatic. My stomach is just sick. I'm just nauseated. Less than 24 hours ago, we had a beautiful house here in a beautiful neighborhood. Now it's gone.
58 new wildfires in the last 24 hours. Crews all across Washington fighting those fires that have destroyed homes, burned property, and charred tens of thousands of acres.
We have team coverage tonight. We are tracking all the major fires across eastern Washington and North Idaho. We have crews throughout the region live with the very latest. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
And I'm Whitney Ward. It's good to have you here tonight. As we begin, we are tracking several large wildfires this evening. And since there are so many to track, we want to give you some context so we can show you exactly where they're burning and just how big they actually are. We're going to start with this wide look at the map. You can see how many and how big some of them are, especially the Cold Springs and Pearl Hill fire. That by far is the biggest one burning in our state right now.
We also have fires burning near Davenport, Rosalia, and all across the state line in Blanchard, Idaho. But we start off with the devastation in rural Whitman County. The Bab fire has burned about 80% of the homes in Malden.
Our Amanda Rowley is there tonight. So Amanda, what's the latest?
We just learned from emergency management about 84 homes in Malden were lost in last night's fire. But Malden is not the only town that was affected by the fire. Last night it ripped through here on to Pine City. Nearly everything there is gone as well. It's estimated of the 20 homes in Pine City, only 7 are left standing. I talked to a homeowner there today who says he is just traumatized by the loss of his home.
Less than 24 hours ago, we had a beautiful house here in a beautiful neighborhood. Now it's gone.
Scott and Heather Carlin have lived in this historic 1929 home for about 5 years. But their family roots in Pine City go back to the town's early existence. When did you hear something was heading this way?
About 2 o'clock on Monday, we noticed some smoke out of Malden. Didn't think much of it, but just like a half an hour later, official vehicles were coming by on speakers saying, "Evacuate now."
They grabbed what handful of things they could, along with their 2 poodles, and left the house immediately. Scott admits he did not think the fire would come through Pine City, but it did.
A lifetime of my family memories are all gone. I had photos and furniture and other artifacts from the family. The family history is just totally gone.
These are photos the Carlins took inside the home years ago as they worked on restoring it. But they returned here to find only a skeleton of what remains.
Looking at some of the photos that we had before the fire, it's that, oh man, that's gone. That particular thing is gone. It's down. There's nothing in there that looks salvageable at all. I don't know where to start.
Not all was lost on the property, though.
We thought if any of the buildings was going to burn up yesterday, it would be the barn because it's in a more vulnerable location. And we were just hoping the house would be saved. Unfortunately, it was just the opposite of that.
He walked around town today and says it's nearly unrecognizable.
There's a historic stone church that I was involved with the Pine City Historical Society. It is gutted like our house is.
Now, Carlin says despite the tragedy there in Pine City, he takes comfort in knowing the community is ready to rebuild. Reporting in Malden, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
All right, Amanda, thank you very much. Now moving northeast, we are tracking 2 huge fires that have torched hundreds of thousands of acres in Okanogan and Douglas counties. They're the Cold Spring fire, which is burning near Omak. That fire burned about 140,000 acres.
And then just south of that, 9 miles east of Bridgeport, is the Pearl Hill fire. And actually, authorities believe that one was started by the Cold Springs fire. Both fires are 0% contained tonight.
We now want to get to our Brandon Jones. Brandon, what's the latest on these fires?
Mark, well, where I am right now, this property has been here for more than 100 years. They've never seen anything like this before. I was speaking with the owner, and literally a couple hours before this fire was burning, she said the sound was something like she's never heard before, almost sounding like a bomb. They've got a barn, they've got a house here, they've got a sprinkler on top of the roof just to kind of get rid of any potential harm to their property. They've got livestock, the neighbors' livestock. There's been buildings around here, structures, homes that have actually burned down. This home right now is still very safe, but I'm going to walk you over to where one of this fire line is right now. crazy situation. We'll go and walk a little bit closer, but the flames are really just right there currently. Flames are you know, beginning to rapidly burn. And the thing is, it's going all the way across this entire area. So they're hoping that they don't just get caught up in it. I'll have my photog zoom in for you a little bit, but you can see flames and just clouds of smoke beginning to form over here right now. They told me they didn't know what was going to happen. They were hoping for some help to come up.
All right, it appears that we lost our connection there with Brandon. We'll try to catch back up with him here in just a few moments. But obviously you can see a very dire situation there where he is covering those fires in Okanogan County. We do want to do a quick comparison kind of the last 3 big wildfire seasons in that area, because right now the biggest fire in the state, as we said, is that Cold Springs Canyon fire and the Pearl Hill fire, which actually are burning right now in Okanogan and Douglas counties. It's burning, though, in the same region of that north central Washington that has just been devastated year after year after year. So we want to go back to 2014. This was the Carlton Complex fire. It raged through Pateros and Brewster, burned 250,000 acres and hundreds of homes. And when it was all over, at the time, it was considered the biggest wildfire in Washington state history. That record, though, did not last long, because the very next year, the Okanogan Complex burned more than 300,000 acres. It was a series of fires that also killed 3 firefighters. They were trying to fight the Twisp River fire. 2015 then became Washington's worst fire season ever. And now we are back in record-breaking territory, because in just 24 hours, more than 330,000 acres in Washington has burned in the last 24 hours. Again, we know many of the victims in all of these fires in Okanogan County were either uninsured or underinsured. So the impact across that area will be devastating.
Devastating indeed, Whitney. Thank you. Well, there are still hundreds of thousands of acres burning right now across Washington. So we want to get straight to Chief Meteorologist Tom Sherry. Tom, a lot of the fires yesterday, they were sparked and really driven by those really intense winds. Are we going to see more problems like that this week?
I don't think we're going to see the wind speeds nearly as strong as what we saw on Labor Day, but we're going to get back up to much warmer or hotter temperatures than we normally get this time of year. Current conditions near most of the fires that we're tracking actually are pretty good for fighting a firefighter. Fighting the fire. What do I mean by that? I mean that it's cooler now. It's only 74 degrees at the Cold Springs Pearl Hill fire, and the wind speed is almost non-existent. You can see the wind there at 2 miles per hour. Then we head down into Whitman County towards the Malden fire, and you can see there that the wind speeds are at about 10 miles per hour. But again, temperatures are much cooler at 67 degrees. That is not going to be the case this week. We're going to heat things back up again. Sure, we're at 68 degrees right now with wind out of the northeast at 7 miles per hour. By the way, that northeasterly wind is why we don't have smoke in the Spokane area right now. We're blowing the smoke all to the west of us and to the south of us, but our predominant wind direction is to blow from the southwest towards the northeast. So right now we've got good air quality, but we think when the wind shifts direction, we'll probably drop down into the moderate air quality as those fires south of us and to the west of us, as that smoke then blows into the inland northwest and of course the Spokane area. It's going to be cool though, so it's good news for firefighters. At least they're not at 90-degree heat yet. We'll look for an overnight low of 46 degrees. Then we start heating things up. We're at 83 on Wednesday. By the time we get to the weekend, we hit 90 again in September and almost 90 on Saturday. Again, it won't be as windy, but it is going to get hot, hotter than what firefighters would like. I'll have the rest of your 10-day forecast coming up in a few minutes.
No question about that, Tom. Thank you very much. We also want to continue our fire coverage now as we take a look at the Whitney fire burning near Davenport. That's about 45 minutes west of Spokane, and so far crews have not been able to achieve containment there either.
An evacuation order is still in place for many areas of Davenport. Let's go live now to our Morgan Trow, who spoke with families who had to take shelter at the Lincoln County Fairgrounds. Morgan?
Yeah, first I just want to show you what's going on off of Highway 2 going westbound. I mean, just a couple minutes ago before the firefighters arrived, it was all up in flames, and it just keeps jumping from different areas, which is what one of the fire officials said to me. It's just something that is a win-lose. They just keep battling with that. But there is an evacuation order, and one woman saw flames heading towards her house, and she had a decision to make. So she had to choose whether she wanted to stay or go and what she was going to take. I got the chance to talk to her and find out what really happened.
You can't save it if it's burned. If it starts, what are you going to do? Watch it burn. You just have to let go and leave. And that's what we did. I have a feeling that everything's fine. We don't know, but I just have a feeling that everything's okay. Shifted them around.
I'm not in management, but she still doesn't know the status of her house, but she says that does not bother her. She's alive, her family is safe, and she still has her memories. And as of right now, fire officials are telling me that this might take more than 2 days. But I just got word about 30 minutes ago that Davenport schools are going to be open tomorrow, even with the fire being this close to the houses and all the firefighters talking about how, you know, everyone needs to evacuate. But for right now, Morgan Trow, KREM 2 News.
All right, Morgan, thank you very much reporting near Davenport tonight. Meantime, over state line today, crews are working to contain a wildfire burning near Blanchard, Idaho. It's about 700 acres in size. The Hunter 2 fire crossed Highway 41 to the Stonebridge Golf Course area. Evacuations are in place for that area of Blanchard, Elk Road, and Stone Road.